Hi, I'm Nigel the Shanghai Psychic. I can tune into your loved ones in the spirit world, but I can also tune into you, tell you about your path and the choices that you need to make and need to know. I'm currently giving 30% discount on all Tell Craig Your Story listeners. Just use the code Tell Craig Your Story for 30% off your first psychic reading with me online at Nigel the Shanghai Psychic.
Hello everyone, Craig here. Welcome to another edition of the podcast, Tell Craig Your Story. Today we'll be speaking to Dave Leslie. Now Dave is the founding member and lead guitarist of one of the biggest bands to come out of Australia, the Baby Animals. The Baby Animals are one of my all-time favourite bands, and they were one of the biggest bands in the early 90s. Now the Baby Animals' self-titled debut album won numerous awards. It was the second biggest album in Australia in 1992, 4-time platinum and 3-time ARIA award winners. Now the Baby Animals and Dave toured with Van Halen, Bryan Adams and Robert Plant. Now unfortunately in 1996 the Baby Animals broke up, but in 2007 they reformed. Now the band is still currently playing live and recording new material. Now Dave has also worked with some of the biggest names in the rock music, the Angels, Jimmy Barnes, Richard Clapton, to name a few. But before we go, please go to our website. We're at Podbean. Tell Craig Your Story at podbean.com. We have a link tree which tells you where Tell Craig Your Story podcast is streaming. We are on all the major streaming services, Google Podcast, Apple iTunes. We also have a link tree. It tells you where Tell Craig Your Story podcast is streaming. We are on all the major streaming services. We also have VK for our Russian listeners and WeChat for our Chinese listeners at Tell Craig Your Story. All right, here we go. This is my chat with Baby Animals guitarist Dave Leslie on Tell Craig Your Story podcast. Hi Dave, how you going tonight?
G'day Craig, very well. Thanks very much for having me aboard.
Not a worries, thanks for coming on. Really do appreciate it. Like we just talked about before, a big Baby Animals fan. My first cassette that I ever paid money for, Baby Animals. So first up, we were just talking about it also, about the Cambridge, originally from the coast. So do you have any memories of any Cambridge gigs?
The Cambridge Hotel in Newcastle. I was in a band called Swing Shift, the Cold Chisel tribute band.
Yes.
To do Cambridge a fair bit, actually.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of our regular haunts. And then, when Baby Animals first started, we'd do supports up there. And I think we eventually got a headline at the Cambridge, which used to be next door to the Parthenon Milk Bar, right, which was made famous by Bob Hudson's Newcastle song, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cambridge is pretty dear to my heart. Yeah, so it's sad to see it go the way of the dinosaur. Yeah,
it is a shame. Like, you think of all the Newcastle bands and even the Central Coast bands that they all started. First show that I ever played was at the Cambridge as well. So,
exactly. Yeah, the Cambridge, the Bel Air.
Yes, the Palais.
The Palais. The Jolly Roger.
Jolly Roger.
Newcastle.
Yeah.
This is going way back. Way back, kind of, early 80s kind of vibe. I think Swing Shift used to do a lot of gigs at the Palais as well. Yeah, that was Yeah, big old theatre. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of a review for 2023. I noticed you're playing some shows and you're also doing some seminars as well, like coming and talking music.
Well, it's one thing I can do is talk. Might as well go and talk to people. We have a thing called the Sessions, which is like an adult rock academy sort of thing, sort of Weekend Warriors type of vibe, and so get to do a bit of that, which is it's good, it's great that you can tell some stories and swap some gags and meet other adults, which is
Right.
it's doing people come from all walks of life to do that sort of thing. So that's been an interesting experience as well. Yeah, corporate guys who say, "Geez, I'd love to do what you do," and I think to them, "Well, geez, I wouldn't mind doing what you do."
Yeah, roles reverse.
Yeah.
And I saw
Robert.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, well, the P word that we don't want to mention, it really, well, I'll call it P because it gives you perspective on stuff, and I'm never going to complain about sitting in a van on the way to a gig at all.
Oh yes,
you need to do it all the time, and all of a sudden when the rug gets pulled out from underneath you and you don't have it anymore, and you kind of, if you take it for granted, and all of a sudden it gets taken away, it gives you a completely different perspective when you finally get to experience it again. So that's been an interesting kind of journey as well. Yeah, but Robert is a 4-piece band, sometimes 5, with myself and 2 guys, Peter Maslin, and John from Boom Crash Opera, and Mick Peeling, the legend Peeling, the Mighty Rock from Stars, and the occasional Scotty Griffiths on guitar, that do 60s and 70s British rock.
Right.
The perfect crime.
Yeah, come on.
It's the stuff that we all grew up on. And, we do, it goes all right. We get a bunch of houses full of people who, love to hear that stuff. We love to play it. So it's good. Yeah.
And have you done any shows this year with Truck as well, or was that more towards last year?
Truck's done a couple this year. We're just sort of just on the roll. We're fixing to record in the next couple of months. The budget's set, the producer's set, the studio's booked, the album's written.
Yeah, right.
We're kind of not fighting, but we're discussing over the best 12 songs to do, because it's a songwriting machine, this thing.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
It's a nice problem to have.
Yes, it is.
It really is. Yeah, and so we've sort of made a final 12, and we're gonna put a record out and do that. But it's a great band. We did a rehearsal last night where we're supporting Electric Mary at the Corner on the 14th of Corner Hotel in Melbourne on the 14th of April, and so we just banged through the set. We've just been banging through the set. Yeah, it's gonna be really good.
Tired. All right. And,
good bunch of guys, we're all the same age. It's like a men's shed. You know what I mean? We used to talk about, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Now it's like recipes, remedies, renovation, recuperation.
In terms of the Baby Animals, are you writing new material? I see that you got some shows mid-year already booked up.
We have some shows booked, mid-year. There's another one coming up on April 22. I think it's the Gumball, west of Newcastle. It's about an hour and a half west of Newey. So we're out in the scrub, man. We're out in the sticks. It's going to be great. Mudhoney are going to do it, and a whole bunch of other different, quite eclectic bands are going to do it.
Right.
But it's just, we're still sort of tossing around ideas and back and forth. But I live in Melbourne these days. She's in Sydney.
Right.
Mick, our drummer's in Hobart. Dario's in Sydney. So it makes it a little bit difficult to get together in a room.
Yeah.
And spend a room like we used to in the old days when it was a full-time job. Not really. It's a job, but it's a different. We have other income streams, I guess.
Yeah. How do you do that? And how does the touring schedule work now with you all working and playing in other bands? Is it difficult to sort of, like you said, get together and then actually book shows?
You just got to keep on top of your diary and make sure that you haven't said yes to 2 things on the one night, and make sure. Well, obviously, Baby Animals is a priority.
Right.
So that's it, and that's a given. And then the other bands, then when we're available, because the other guys in Raw Brit, they play in other bands. The Truck thing is, it's a labour of love, right? You don't get paid to do that because it's all original. Yeah. It's a labour of love. It's so your income stream has to you got to eat before you play.
That's right.
You don't eat, you don't play. So
Yes.
Truck has to kind of work around that. But so far so good. I mean, touch wood, it's been going okay. It's a juggling act. But if you can manage stuff far enough out of the date, then you're okay.
So let's go back into the timeline. You said before that you're a Central Coast boy. Were you born in Central Coast? Yeah.
In Sydney, yeah. My mum's a was a pharmacist. My dad's an industrial engineer. His company moved in 1972. They what do you call it? Decentralized. It was a Sydney-based company, and he scored a general manager gig because he designed the production line at this lock manufacturing firm that went to Wyong. So we ended up in Killarney Vale, which is sort of close, close enough. And my mum, being a city girl, thought she'd moved to the moon. It took her a little while to
adjust.
Put it that way.
Yes.
Yeah. But it was an adventure because we had bush in the backyard.
Yeah.
We lived, there was probably in our little block there was probably 7 or 8 houses, and the rest just bush. Those, whatever you call it, ghost gums. You see snakes, you get leeches, all that sort of stuff, man. So we spent all day, all afternoon, and every weekend over the back fence in the bush, making bike tracks, cubby houses, and all that sort of stuff. Occasionally playing guitar.
And what was the music scene like when you first moved there? I mean,
there was a couple of gigs in Gosford. There was the Strand Bar at the Union Hotel. There was the Central Coast Leagues Club, which was like the massive auditorium. Wyong Leagues, Long Jetty Hotel. So there was cover bands when I first started playing in bands. Actually, one of my first serious gigs was at the Willows restaurant at West Gosford, and I played with a couple of Kiwi guys who were great because they play and sing anything. These two guys, right? And I'm just like the little fella. I'm not exactly sure. I met them through a bunch of mutual friends, but I was in year 10, 11. Doing Thursday, Friday nights, playing in this restaurant, trying to do George Benson stuff, and they didn't even care. Just like, hey, boy, just boil away, just do what you do. Yeah. And it's good because it was good ear practice.
Right.
Because I didn't know these songs. I'm looking at these other guys' hands going, okay, cool, just trying to figure out what's going on. It was such good ear training. Yeah, Paul and John Packy, if you're listening. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah, it was really good. And so I'm doing gigs. I'm tired sitting in physics class the next morning. Everyone's like being tired from staying up and studying, and I'm tired from, what do you do? Oh, I went out and did a gig.
That's rock and roll. Come on.
So it's kind of cool. So I kind of cut my teeth that way. So there was places to play, but there was no scene as such. You had to kind of go. Probably Sydney, because Sydney was where, when you watched Donny Sutherland, the Sounds thing every Saturday morning, there's the preferred attractions, and there's all these gigs that you see, the DY, Manly Hotel, right, all these places, and you think, oh man, I just used to think to myself, I want to go out and I need to get some of that. I want to get some of that action. Yeah.
And were your mother and father, were they involved in the music entertainment? Were they big into their music, or how did you discover your playing guitar and playing music?
Well, they both were actually. Well, Dad was more of a hipster bongo dude.
Oh.
Because he had the bongos and the white pants and all that sort of stuff, and the parties he'd do the bongo.
Right.
To play organ in church. And so at home we had this old pump organ, one of those air-powered things, and we used to watch all the music programs back in the day, even before we moved to the Central Coast, because we moved from Sydney.
Yeah.
I remember watching, Brian Henderson, well, vaguely watching Brian Henderson's Bandstand, Johnny Oakley's 6 O'Clock Rock. He hosted this rock program. There was a program called GTK on Getting to Know on the ABC just before the news. I think probably 6:50 or so. Just had like a 10-minute snippet of Sunbury or Kevin Borich or Daddy Cool, and I just I was saying to my son tonight about Sunbury. The first time I ever saw Billy Thorpe.
Right.
Him doing this Les Paul thing at Sunbury with his Les Paul, and he's shaking his head doing it. Most people I know. I'm just thinking that. Because we had real hippies living next door to us. My parents are like, they called them hairies. I'm like, can I grow my hair long? They're like, no, they're hairies. They used to drive around in a combi van. I'm like, wow, these are the fucking, and they were really nice to me. You know what I mean? I was just a kid. They were really cool. They're probably really stoned and throwing frisbees around, but like, I just thought that was unreal. I thought that was really cool. So eventually, when I was older, I got to be a hairy, in around 92.
There you go. And it says here that you started playing at 9. Everywhere it said you started playing guitar on your tennis racket.
Tennis racket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it 9, 10 years old? Is that right?
9, 10 years old. I gave her a recital, a version of American Pie on my dining room table with a tennis racket. She's going, get down from me. Get down. I can still see her now. She's like, get down. I'm going, long time ago. And this was the stage Mum and Dad were out. So I'm like, Man's looking after us. All bets are off. So I'm up there, with the thing. I don't know. It's a vague memory, but I just remember her saying, you hop down.
What was the first guitar that you ever bought?
Oh man, I wish you'd gonna ask me that question. It's downstairs in the lounge room.
Oh right.
Yeah, it's the lounge room banger. It's still everyone still plays it. It's a little 3/4 size Suzuki or something like that. Yeah, it's great. It's still in tune.
Yeah, right.
Use it every so often on sessions where you go, I know exactly what this is. This little nylon. I'll use it on ads. It's still the banger. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And when did you form your first band, or when did you look at joining a band at that stage?
Early high school.
Yeah.
No, the first band was in year 6. Yeah, Brett's Bombers. We played at the Killarney Vale Primary School Fate.
Rockin' crowd, that one.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Pretty good. It was 2 guitars, no bass player, and drums. And Brett, my friend Brett, had the biggest drum kit I'd ever seen in my life. It took 5 minutes to go and hit every time on a drum fill.
Right.
Because I'd finally, graduated to electric guitar after a couple of years of the banger. And I met a mate who also had an electric guitar. And we're like, let's form a band. And my guitar teacher gave us a couple of fuzz pedals. We plugged into these things. I'm not exactly sure how it sounds. My dad only took like home movie video, Super 8 video of the Vision.
Yes.
So thank goodness. I mean, I would have loved to hear how it sounds, but I'll never know how it sounds, Wow. Yeah, but that was the early. We loved it.
Yeah.
We didn't care how we sounded. It was just the whole experience,
Getting up there and just playing really loud there.
As loud as we could. Yeah, and all the kids thought we were great, and who cares what the parents thought?
That's right.
They're old. Who cares?
That's right. And then how did you learn? Did you have lessons, or were you self-taught? Because a lot of my guitar, I was pretty much self-taught, just listening to it by ear. Like if I wanted to learn a song, I would just listen to it and try and work it out myself first.
It's the best way to do it. Let your ears do the walking sometimes. But my mum got me hooked up with this guy called Warren Target. He taught guitar in the entrance.
Right.
So that was the first few years of that. Just the basic, primary colours and everything like that. He's a great musician, great singer.
12-bar blues.
Guitar player, 12-bar blues.
Yeah.
Until in 1977, I took in the cassette of Eruption.
Oh, game over. Yeah.
He went, you've got to give this guy a call. And it was his lead guitar player.
Yeah.
So I did both for a while.
Yeah, right.
I did Warren, a guy called Paul Smith. He could play status quo, all that sort of stuff. Great guitar player. But, when you're that age, we're like, he had a vibe. You know what I mean? He had a cool swagger, and he was a cool guy. You think, fuck yeah, man. And you go, it's like a design for life almost. Yeah. So I took lessons from Paul for a few years, and we got the status quo stuff and the box shape and bends.
Yeah,
bends
right.
are really important, Yeah, to get the bends good. Yeah.
And I noticed with your playing with the baby animals, you do a lot of the finger picking as well, which is not the easiest thing to do either. So did that come later on, or was that something that you were learning along the way?
I think Warren taught me Timmy Rimmy. Was it Timirimi?
Oh yeah.
Index Ti middle index ring in like a 16th kind of thing. So that kind of got me started. But yeah, Timmy Rimmy.
Yeah,
And so
right.
just sort of adapted that. And sometimes, when you don't have a pick and just, messing around, but always use these two as well as a pick. Always kind of do the claw as well for your right.
Yeah.
Just help. I don't know, the voicing, I guess. Yeah.
Was music something that you always wanted to do, or was there other options like to go to high school, go to university, or was it, no, I'm set, I'm gonna do it? And did you have pressure from family sort of pushing it?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, my dad was an industrial engineer. My mum's a pharmacist. Was. So like they're pretty smart cookies. The option that I had at leaving year 12 was I did okay. So I would have got myself into a Bachelor of Economics and Diploma of Education. So I could be an economics teacher.
Right.
Which at year 12, when you're listening to The Cure, or you want to be in Radio Birdman, I wanted to be Dennis Tech in Radio Birdman. I wanted to get into they would have liked me to get into the conservatorium, but unfortunately my overall aggregate wasn't enough to get me into that. What's that line?
All right.
Because I've been playing in bands and not studying, going out on weekends and playing with people who were older than me and drank a lot. So I deferred for a year, and evidently I'm still deferring.
Right.
I disappointed my mum a bit because she's a brain. She's like, Mensa kind of IQ. So I kind of, in retrospect, I didn't give myself a plan B.
Right.
There was no. I can always fall back on. I can always go back and do that. It's like at the point where there was no plan B. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go. I'm going to move to Sydney and starve and eat tomato sauce sandwiches for like 8 months and go on the dole and kind of live the dream.
Yeah.
But it was hard because I think during that moving to Sydney time, when you first have your heart broken and you go into the band that breaks up and everyone's fighting and it's like, oh, wow. I would have probably deferred to my plan B. I would have gone, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm gone. I'm out of here. I'll go back to safe. But I kind of left myself no safe. So yeah, there was no plan B.
Credit to you for sticking in there and doing it. So is this the stage where you did meet up with the guys from Swing Swift, the Chisel covers band?
In and around there, yeah. Moved to Sydney to join a band called Voltage after seeing an ad in the Sunday paper.
Right.
It was unreal. And it was
gone are the days of that. Do they still do that? Do they still do that now?
We've got a gig booked at the Clavelli RSL. Can you come down for an audition? So I had to drive an hour and a half down to this audition for these guys, and they're all older than me. I was like, 19 at that point? Yeah, something around there. So it got into that band. So it's funny the different what do you call it, personalities that you experience, because a lot of these guys are older and they're like, we've been around, man, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's cool. So I did, I kind of shut up and just took it all in, took it all on board, found out, learned from a lot of people how to act, learned from a lot of people not how to act.
Yes.
As you go through your kind of journey. But yeah, Swing Shift sort of culminated in that kind of journey. Yeah. I stopped not starving at Swing Shift.
Is that something that you were like, yes, I'm stuck. Okay, I'm making enough money now to pay rent and all that? Or was it always the passion, the dream to get the originals up and going?
Well, me and a couple of fellas were in an original band.
Oh, right.
We had no prospects. Well, not no prospects. We had some songs. I was the rhythm guitar player. The other old mate, Andy, was a singer. He's a great guitar player and everything like that. But we had like nothing. What are we going to do? And it's like, well, we're both Chisel fans. I think it's time to kill the sacred cow. And we're going to have to form a Cold Chisel tribute band.
Yeah.
Which we did. And so put this band together and through different permutations. And, it initially it wasn't that flash. But we got to the point where we had our own road crew.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Had a PA, an agency. We'd come to Melbourne and do, 4 or 5 nights on a stretch, because that's back in the day when the whole cover band thing was banging down here. There was just people everywhere. And go home and we'd make some money. make a living.
Yeah.
We got cars. We bought cars.
Yeah, right. Wow.
That sort of thing, you know. Andy had bought this little Corolla or something with the wide wheels, and he's like, this is fucking great. I was like, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's good. You know, we got girlfriends. It was like great, but you know, we're in the cover band. I'm doing Ian Moss in a different key. It was a great way to play guitar, but because the singer's voice kind of wasn't near the same, well, and a couple, we're back a semitone and a half.
Wow.
Sometimes a tone, a tone and a half, sometimes a tone, but still kind of making it work because the songs are great songs.
Yeah, sure. No. Yeah. Back like in the 90s and the 2000s where it was all in a lot of bands in standard E, and then now all of a sudden they're all in drop D, playing the same songs that they did 30, 40 years ago, just to have that. They don't have to reach that E note.
That's right, because when you do the killer vocal when you're 24 years old and you're going the big stretch, you don't realise that you still have to do it when you're 64 years old.
That's right.
So you're like, it ain't gonna work there, you know? Yeah.
What happens with the Baby Animals? Are you dropping it down like half a step or?
No, we have Suzi DeMarchi as the singer.
Oh, yeah, come on.
She bangs it out of the park every time.
That should be just the answer. We've got Suzi. That should be just the answer.
we started in E flat, and we're in E flat, and that's the way the songs go. Yeah. And she bangs it out of it's otherworldly. That voice is otherworldly. Yeah. Sometimes even jamming, you know, when it's on acoustics and stuff, when she starts to sing, I just go, because sometimes you're too close to it, and you just think, oh, jeepers. It's a gift. Yeah. It's a gift.
So who was it that first asked you about trying out for the Baby Animals? Because apparently they seem to know you. Did you know them, or before you did the tryout?
Well, what happened when I was in Swing Chef, I was working as a courier for this agency called Called on Blur Agency on Broadway in Sydney, which was the drummer from our first band. Sort of was working there part time. He goes, you need a job. Come and do this. You deliver contracts and posters and pick up checks and stuff like that. So I did that, and then there was word came around that Rose Tattoo are looking for a guitar player. So I'm this guy. It's 1986 or 7. I had a blonde mullet, no tattoos.
As you do.
As you did then, right?
That's right.
Well, the streaks, where they put the hat on you and pull the hair out and give you the blonde salt and pepper look, and then give the undercut. All that shit, man. I had all that shit going on. You know, red Reeboks, skinny, girls' jeans, that whole look.
You got some pictures
classic
on
1986, 87. But yeah, it was a classic, the Jason Donovan
yes.
hair of the day. The girl Kerry Roberts, who owned the agency, said you should go and have a tryout. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, these guys are scary. It's like this. They're badass. Go and have a go. You never know. So went to Potts Point to their agency. I remember seeing Angry in the office. He's glared at me. I need to pick up a cassette of the audition tape. And he's like, oh, yeah?
Who are you?
Exactly. Why are you here? So went along that Saturday, and having learnt the stuff, what I thought were my bits, and the band was Angry, Andy Sishon, Scotty Johnson, who'd played in in Jimmy and the Boys, Tim Gaze, who was a really well-known slide guitar player, and so it was like those four and me and this Marshall, and it was the loudest I've ever played guitar in my life, and I just went as hard as I could for it. And they went, no, it's good. We've got a couple of other guys to try out. That's fine, give you a buzz. And then they invited me back the next weekend, and I was thinking, oh, I've got it. They've invited me back. But we just had a jam then, right? But what the invite back was, because Andy Sishon was kind of we became pretty good mates. He just wanted to have a play. And I was thinking to myself, oh, I've got the gig. I've got it. Finally made it. blonde mullet, no tattoos. But the answer was, oh, we're gone with someone else. But that's cool. And I thought, okay, cool. I've got swing shift. No problem. We're making $400 a week.
Yeah, come on.
We're living like kings. He suggested that when Suzi came out from London, that she put a band together, and he threw my name into the hat. Why don't you give Blonde Mullet a go? And so I got a call when I was out with Swing Shift saying that, well, you have the gig if you want it.
It just seems interesting because they knew you before you tried out, obviously.
Andy knew me, yeah,
right,
through Rose Tattoo.
Right.
So it's all about kind of networking and making friends, really. Yeah. Because Rose Tattoo, I mean, and now we're good. I'm really good friends with Angry. Takes me and my boys out in the bush, cool. And it's great. It's really awesome. Yeah.
And he's still rocking out too. Like the last show that I saw in Australia, I saw Guns N' Roses and they were the support band, and it's like Angry, still rocking out.
Badass. Yeah, he's a badass. But I'm a single dad, and he's a single dad too. So he used to spend a lot of time with us and take the boys out and do all that sort of thing. So yeah, he's a sweetheart.
Yeah. So you got the call, or did you for your tryout for the Baby Animals?
Well, Suzi was already in Sydney. She'd flown up from London.
Right.
Then, the other two guys when I first walked in weren't there. There was Brent Eccles from the Angels that were there, he actually gave me the call. And another guy, Steffo, who I'm not sure how he was connected, but he was playing bass. But I just went along for a jam. As soon as Suze opened her mouth, I'm like, oh, great, yeah, it's a given. I think one of the early incarnations of the band was Johnny Batchelor. There was a guy who played in the Drop Bears, singer-songwriter from the Drop Bears.
Your first impressions of Suzi?
Well, she looked a bit like a boy. She had this like a tracksuit on, a hat. She wasn't working it, man.
Right.
As soon as she sang, I'm like, oh. And they sent me some song, like, yeah, she's really good. Plus, I knew that she was connected with John Woodruff, who managed the Angels and Diesel at the time. And because being an up and coming, you got to check the form guide. You know what I mean? You got to be, what do they call it? Industry savvy.
Yes.
You've got to know who you're talking to if you're talking to them, and recognize any opportunity that you're given. So I guess that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had your jam, you had your tryout, and then when did the two guys from Perth come into the band? Did they come in later, or was it?
Yeah. I think there was a few tryouts. Yeah, I think they might have tried out a couple of other guys.
Right.
And then Eddie and Frank from Perth, whom Suze knew from having been over there, they'd been playing in a band called Bamboo Curtain in northern suburbs of Sydney. Actually, I used to go and see Bamboo Curtain and go. Me and Andy from Swing Shift used to go and see Bamboo Curtain and go, fuck, these guys are great, man. What a great rhythm section. And then next minute, I'm in a band with these guys.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great. It was a great journey, actually. Yeah.
What was the transaction of going from Swing Shift to, was it see you later Swing Shift, or was it like a slow process to get into the Baby Animals? BA started rehearsing non-stop pretty much straight away. Still, Swing Shift is still playing, but then I just had to kind of give them a notice in, and these guys are like, are you crazy? Are you going to give all this up? We've got our own road crew. We go on tour. We go to Adelaide. We go to Melbourne. Capazzo, you crazy? I'm like, I just don't want to be an Ian Moss impersonator all my life. You know? I mean, as much as I love him, it was the best guitar lesson of my whole life, actually, being that guy. Or trying to be that guy was the best guitar lesson of my whole life. Yeah. And this is on the up, this thing, the management. All infrastructure, What was it about, like those first couple of jams that you had with the guys? Did you know that this is cooking, this is really hot?
Well, I loved Eddie and Frank from the get-go because I used to go and see them
rhythm
anyway.
Section. Yeah.
And I used to dream of being in a band with them.
Yeah.
And so those two guys are a band amongst themselves. So it was easy for me because I just play kind of Andy Summersy kind of thing that began like that over the top of them. Because they're already it's already a hole.
Right.
at Suze, and so I'm just embellishing at this point, when we first started messing around with stuff before we got into the deep riffs and getting together all day, every day, and going, okay, what's your favorite band? Let's explore some stuff and go Budgie, Led Zeppelin,
Wow,
go riffage, and just spend hours and hours and hours crafting this stuff. And that basically, from the get go, our management said, this is your full-time job now. This is it. So you get together. It's a 9 to 5. You get together all day, every day. Yeah. Which I wish I could afford the luxury of doing that now. It'd be awesome. Because even if you spend a day where you don't do anything, it doesn't matter. Because it's the whole getting together of the team, the chemistry of it.
And then how long did it take you to start? Were you playing gigs in that time, or you wanted to make sure that you were fully locked in?
Well, I think we were still cutting our teeth as a band when we started doing shows. I mean, when we did our first show, we weren't even Baby Animals. A band called Woody's Heroes, and I think we'd gone a couple of different names as well.
Woody's Heroes.
We were settled as Baby Animals. Yeah, because we were looking for a name.
So why Baby Animals?
I think Frank, the drummer, a calendar about the size of an LP record. And he goes, look, this looks like a record cover. So he goes, Baby Animals. And immediately I go, oh, really? Because we're thrown around, how hard it is to try and find a great band name.
Yes.
And we've gone through so many really stupid band names. This is not going to stick, is it? But you know what? Whatever. It's majority rule, whatever, Yeah. It's like, yeah, that's unreal. All right. So I guess it's still, it sticks. So
I was reading all these things about the Wheel of Fortune host, John Burgess. They called him Babyface.
Baby John Burgess.
Yeah, that's how you got the Baby Animals. So I don't know. There's all these rumors about how you got the band name.
Well, there was a bunch of stuff that we made up so that we had.
Oh, right.
I think the Baby John Burgess one might have been mine.
Yeah. It's still on the internet. It still says that. Yeah.
Still not my favourite band name, but anyway, who cares?
Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah.
When did you decide to look at doing some recordings?
In that process, we were writing pretty well full time for a year, getting together all the time, playing Springfields on a Friday night, starting at like 1:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Taking your son, like walking out at daylight, playing in front of musicians. And it's funny when you play in front of a bunch of musicians how you cut your teeth real quick. It wasn't that long. Been given a couple of, because of management, we've been given a couple of really good opportunities to support like the Angels through the year.
Yeah. Man, and was it Barnsley as well?
Barnsley as well, yeah.
Barnsley
through regionals. Oh my.
Yeah, I heard you in another interview where we've got a female singer and we're supporting Barnsley, and it's like we've got to bring our A+.
Yeah. If you look up the definition of hostile crowd.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. We'd put, I don't know, we were supposed to play for 40 minutes and we'd do about 25 minutes of songs. We'd like just bang, don't talk, just go. But hit as hard as you can,
Yeah, right.
Because they'd go, Barnsley. They'd start toward the back end of the set, the whole crowd would just go, and they'd drown the band out like a soccer crowd.
Yeah.
No, all the way through our songs. You want to feel a little warmth, Barnsley.
Oh no.
Barnsley.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah, we got cut no slack at all. Yeah.
Wow. But a good
I'm
learning.
glad our audiences are more sympathetic to our support acts.
Yes, that's right. You went to New York, was it, to record the album?
We did about 10 days with Mike Chapman, who, Aussie expat, written a million hits, he produced My Sharona, which was good enough for me.
Wow.
And Ballroom Blitz. Look, bang. He's from Queensland.
Tell me about him. You have a good relationship with him?
He was great. Yeah. I did have a good relationship with him, actually. Yeah. He made me angry a couple of times when, he'd leave me out in the recording, in the live room, and I'd do a part, and he'd sit back and go, hey, it's all right, just talk amongst yourselves, and then sit around and go, and I'm thinking, they're fucking talking about me. And I'm sitting there with in front of a really loud guitar, maybe a bit hungover, and then come back and go, no, go again. I'm like, what are you talking about? go again. Like, what do you want changed?
Yeah.
To the point where he'd do it so many times that I'd walk into the control room. He'd go, oh, you're good, you're done. Or go again. And a couple of times we'd go, yeah, well, not more than a couple, but quite a few times we'd go out to a bar. But one time we went out and I said, why are you torturing me like this?
Yeah.
Why are you punishing me like this, man? It's like, just, all in. And he goes, oh, you play better when you're angry.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, really? Like, you're fucking with my head?
Yeah, but now you've told me.
I'll just play better when I'm happy.
Yeah, that's right.
Then we're good. It was a good fun recording in that thing. It was like it was the gig.
Was it a long process?
No, it wasn't that long at all. Probably a week or so in Bearsville in upstate New York to do the big room with the drums and everything where Jeff Buckley recorded Grace. Fantastic studio.
Yeah.
And then down to another studio in Long Island where we do, the rest of it, the overdubs. But they got the basic tracks, the big bush, ba, ba. That's that room. That's the Bearsville room.
Right.
Kevin Shirley, yeah.
Listening to it now, it just still stands the test of time. Like the music, like you listen to some of the music from the 80s, that late 80s and the early 90s, and it's like, this album I listened to it today. It was fantastic. Just blast.
Man.
Rush you.
I should listen to it more often. I can't listen to it without criticizing it. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Yeah.
I heard those stories about the cover of the album as well, and I was like, at the start you were like at the front, and then you got pushed back. Because I'm introducing new friends to the Baby Animals, and I always get the question like, why is the rest of the band? You can't even hardly see the band.
No, have you seen us?
That's right. You're out of focus, and you're like,
I know.
what?
We're out of focus and at the back, which is the best way. Bass player Eddie used to get pissed off. Like, why is Suzi always up the front? I said, well, do you own a mirror? You have to play to our strengths here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so it's fine, I always have the joke in any photo shoot. I'm like, well, I'll be up the back out of focus because that's where I feel most at home.
Play your guitar, play your instrument.
Better heard than not seen.
I just want to get off topic. It was a coincidence. You wore a T-shirt at a show. I think it was the Dawson RSL, and it had, I've got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. You know what? I was wearing that shirt as well that same night, and I said,
same night.
What a coincidence! It was that show Enmore in Sydney.
What a great skit that is, man.
Oh.
I love the whole Jimmy Fallon thing where he's in the background and Will Ferrell's doing the thing and Crystal Walker is deadpan and Will Ferrell's nearly losing it and Jimmy Fallon is fucking gone. He's gone. In the background he's like, he's out.
Got the,
he's tanked. He can't do it. He goes, quit being so selfish, G. He's like,
that's all he had, yeah. I don't know if
you... being so good. He's like, cock of the walk, baby. He's it's great.
Yeah.
Like the actor, like the proper actor. That's what I mean about that whole skit.
I don't know.
So much depth in there. There's so much good stuff,
You come back to Australia. You brought the album out. Man, it went like a bang. Did you play in Australia? Then you went to the UK with Bryan Adams. Yes. Then it was Van Halen.
Yeah, we played in Australia, and as the early warning and everything came out, all of a sudden there's all these people at the gigs, which was fantastic. It was great. Yeah. It was a dream come true. I mean, the first time you hear your song on the radio, you're driving down the road, and you go, you actually didn't even register because you've heard it so many times. It's just like, oh, fuck, this is, it's Triple M. Oh, my God. And it's still a thrill. It's still a thrill. It doesn't happen that much these days. But when it does, I go, oh, yeah, it's okay, cool. That's pretty good.
Did it get played on Triple J, or was it more the mainstream Triple M rock radios?
I think we got played on Triple J as well. I think we did a live at the Wireless at one point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But early, I've got photos of it, man. Like, judging by the pants I'm wearing, it was pretty. It was pretty early. Like this sort of hair. It would have been probably 91. Yeah, way pre Van Halen. Would have been while we were still touring around here before Bryan Adams.
Right.
We got this tour to go and do Europe with Bryan Adams, who was like surfing this massive wave with the Waking Up the Neighbours album.
Yeah, right. Wow. Was it just management, or was it actually him that? Because
label. I think it was label.
Label. Right. Because I heard that it was actually Eddie Van Halen that was saying, "Hey, we want these guys on tour, right?"
On the Van Halen one it was, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Valerie Bertinelli actually.
Oh yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. The wife. Right.